it's pretty obvious that social has happened. Feels like a bit of an explosion, and it's freaked some people out. What we see, and this may be a familiar picture to some of you, is in B2B organisations, we know theoretically that social can do some good stuff for us, that social media is something we should harness and try and use. There's still a bit of confusion about how we do it, but more than confusion, because I think quite often the marketers are starting to get an idea about what to do, but more than confusion we see a bit of fear, and that quite often is at the top tiers of the organisation. The management levels and certain pockets within organisations are really wondering, how do we do this? And what becomes apparent is that we need to help B2Bs start to adopt overall a kind of social mindset, because social has happened, it's here, it's the way that people communicate now. It's not the only way, but it's really important, and it drives a lot of expectations around how customers and consumers and partners, how they expect to be communicated with, how they expect to get their content and to work with people. So what do we do with this? John asked me to talk about evangelizing social, and I can't resist a bit of a theme, so forgive me if you feel like I've got a bit carried away. But it occurred to me that really it probably looks to some of those people in their boardrooms getting a bit scared about social media, that it looks like a bit of a new religion, and I won't say cult, but that sounds too negative, but it's a bit of a new religion for marketers. Well, I think it looks a bit like it. And I'll tell you why. I think if you take the view, and this is going to be a broad analogy, so bear with me, and I'm also not going to get into a philosophical debate about religion because I'm not that stupid, but let's take the view as a broad analogy that religion is made up of a set of beliefs, something that we believe in, something that we stay true to, and also it involves some kind of moral code, some way that we behave, that we're expected to behave, things that we're expected to do. It's also an emotive force. It's something it's to do with feeling and expression. There are rituals as well. There are things that you do in any kind of religion on a daily basis or on a very regular basis that's expected. That's part of it. But also one of the great things about religion as well is it gives you a world view and it gives you a community. And so when you look at it in those terms, I think you start to see there are some similarities, and I really think we can learn from that. There's plenty in common, and this is a good thing. And I'll go into a bit more detail about why social and religion have things in common. So first of all, when you look at beliefs, I think in social media, what we can take away from that is that we believe in it to start with. We're doing it, we're in it. Quite often, from the marketer's point of view, that's the point. And then we also believe in the kind of good practice and the beneficial things that go with it. So sharing stuff and so on. And also furthering the cause. You know, if we believe in it, and the reason we're all here is that we want to get better at it and learn more about it. And to make it help our organisations better. There's also code of conduct. Now in social media it's fairly tacit, it's a kind of learned thing that you start to use it and you start to understand what's expected of you and so on. But there is a kind of self-governing code of conduct, and that's very much around sharing and cooperation, collaboration, attributing content to the rightful owner and so on. It is self-governed in the sense that it's all there, and you could broaden the analogy further and say, you know, someone is watching, and actually in social media's case, that's all of us. So you screw up and we all see it. So you have to behave. You have to try and be the best that you can be in social. It's also emotive, as you would find in religion too. It's all to do with expression. It's a window on what we're thinking about, what's on our minds, what bugs us, what we like, what we don't like, what we're interested in. And also ritual, I think, is a really important part of social media. You see a lot at play. So, for example, well, it's probably part of your daily ritual if you're a believer. You know, think about how long it takes you to check your Twitter or your Facebook or your email when you wake up in the morning. Anyone take longer than 5 minutes to check it? No, I think I'd probably take about 2. And I think also there are rituals that are sort of part of that behaviour as well. So stuff like curating and sharing content, that becomes part of what we do every day. And also things like, you know, those little rituals like, say, for example, on Twitter we have Follow Friday, those kinds of things. These are the ritualistic behaviours that we start to behave in. And there will be more. It will continue. And then also the worldview idea. There's no better worldview. We're getting a really good window into what's going on all over the world. And it's pretty much there for the taking. We can reach out to whoever we like and start to understand that better. And then finally, the idea of social groups or communities. Well, again, on a macro and a micro level, you see all of that. So whether it's a small group of people who, in social media, you share interest with, or whether it's a whole wider group, it could be an organisation or whatever, it's there. It's something that you're united together in your belief in it. So this is good news, I think, for B2Bs, and this is why. We know through religion that evangelism works. It doesn't always work, and that would be quite scary if it did. But we do know that it works, and this is a good thing. This is something that we can take away and start to use in those B2B environments where we see that fear, we see that lack of understanding, or just the general lack of buy-in, skepticism. Now, you're not going to convert everybody. But I think by really believing in it and living it, that's where we can start to make a difference. And I think you can take away some lessons here. So things like believing in it and using your belief to demystify it. So if you believe in it and you're passionate about it, you can tell people more. You can really share that. You can also share the stories and use that idea of storytelling, that's quite a religious thing too, to really show where the successes are and how it can make a difference. So how do we do it? How do we start to evangelize in a B2B scenario? Well, the good news is I think most of this stuff we can already do. It's nothing particularly new, but it's just a way of thinking about it. So if you move to the next slide, I'll show you. So I think, first of all, it starts off with direction and vision. I think this is really the starting point, and it has to be for any kind of communication activity. You really need to have that direction and vision for what social media can do, or social technologies, what they can do in your organisation, how are they going to help you, and how do they already help you. But more than that, you need that idea of belief and faith in what they can do for you. How can they change your world? And you need to hold on to that. You need to really be committed to that belief that something good can come from this, but also to know what it is. And I would say, unless you've got that direction and vision to start with, this is not going to work. So it needs to start there. So then you've got the belief, and that's pretty important. And you also need, as part of that belief and faith idea, to temper it with proof as well, because you will have cynics and or realists and non-believers who don't see the point or find it hard to believe or to understand. So this is where sharing all those good stories come in as well. And examples, we've shared some of those already today. And then you need an outlet, and I think this is really important. Just as in organised religion, there is somewhere that you go to join other people who believe in what you believe in. I think you need that in social media as well, especially in a B2B environment. Somewhere that not only can you share all these good stories and share what you've learned, what you know, what you don't know, but also where the curious can come and find out. And I think that sort of stays true to the theme and the analogy here. And also, you do see, obviously, in religion, that outlet is where worship happens. And there's plenty of social media worship going on in this world. There are plenty of places you can go to do that. But I think more important than that is to use these outlets as somewhere that you can learn, you can further the cause, you can ask the questions, you can challenge. That's where you get some real benefit from it.